I just had something pass underneath my wing, maybe like a football-sized object right underneath our wing.
Do you think it was a drone, or?
And it was probably the size of a football, and it passed maybe 10 feet under our right wing.
Does the United States believe that there may be life outside of Earth?
I don't have a position on that one way or the other to speak to today. What we believe is that there are unexplained aerial phenomena that have been cited and reported by pilots.
This is Delta Sierra Juliet. Is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet? No known traffic. Seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000 feet. What type of aircraft is it? I cannot confirm. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above. Is there any Air Force aircraft in the vicinity? No known aircraft in the vicinity. Seems to be playing some sort of game. He's flying over me. Delta Sierra Juliet, it's not an aircraft, it's also got a green light and a sort of metallic light. It's shiny on the outside. That strange aircraft hovering on top of me again. It's hovering and it's not an aircraft.
The American people are entitled to know what the hell's going on.
The New York Times detailing our nation's secretive search for signs of intelligent life. The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program reportedly dates back to 2007, and one of its patron saints is said to be former Senator Harry Reid.
The objects that we were seeing, they were spherical, and they were observed up to Mach 2, which is a very non-aerodynamic shape.
It actually had two little objects that came out of the bottom of it, but other than that, no windows, no seams, no nothing.
It's not just military pilots who are seeing UAPs in the skies. For decades, civilians on the ground have reported sightings from coast to coast.
It was near dusk on November 5, 1975. A truckload of forestry workers were making their way home when they saw something strange to one side of the road. They stopped, and one of them, Travis Walton, got out to take a closer look. As he got nearer, something happened that made his companions panic.
It was hovering up here, just below the tops of the trees, and it was about 20-25 feet in diameter.
What he saw was a bright object hovering in midair.
When I got up about here, I crouched down behind a log, and I could hear a sound coming from it. It was kind of a very strange mechanical sound. And I was kind of wrestling with the idea of being so close to this. I'd expected it to take off, you know, and in running up here, I figured this was my last chance to, to see this thing up close. But I decided I'd better get the hell out of there. And as I raised up and turned to go, I felt this numbing shock and blacked out. The guys in the truck said they saw this brilliant beam come out of the bottom of the craft and hit me in the head and the chest and knocked me flying through the air.
When his companions returned to the scene, they found no sign of Travis. He maintains that he blacked out and came to inside a strange room.
I didn't regain consciousness very quickly. I was very groggy and in a lot of pain. But when I could finally focus my eyes, I saw these creatures standing over me, which just flipped me out immediately. I was pretty hysterical. I was screaming all kinds of things at them, and they started towards me. And I grabbed a thing off of the table there and lashed out at them, and they stopped. They just kind of put their hands out like that at me, and then they just turned around and left the room. I was afraid they'd come back, so I was going to try to find a way out of there. I guess I kind of assumed I was still, or that the craft was still here in the woods. But I went looking for a way out. I went into another room, and as I was looking for a way out, another being came in, and this was a very human-appearing person. He led me out of this craft, which appeared to be parked inside of a larger building or a larger craft. He just took me right out of there, down a hallway to a room where there were some other people who looked like him. They put this mask over my face. It was kind of like an oxygen mask thing, There was no hose connected to it. They put it over my face, and that was the last thing I knew. I just blacked out.
Travis Walton says that the incident ended 4 days later when he found himself lying at the side of a road not far away. It all began in 1947 when this man, Kenneth Arnold, reported flying saucers over Washington state. It was the first in a growing trend of UFO reports. The military and the CIA became concerned. Aviation journalist Philip Klass.
They expressed a concern that the public interest in UFOs, the fact that people could go out and think that Venus was a UFO or a weather balloon was a UFO, could be exploited by the Soviet Union in a surprise bombing attack on the United States. Squadrons of Russian bombers could be coming in, people calling the Air Force saying, we're seeing UFOs. And the Air Force would finally say, oh, you know, it's a bunch of nonsense.
The end result was the Project Blue Book. Today it's available on microfilm in the National Archives. In 1969, after considering thousands of reports, Project Blue Book was closed. The conclusion, there was nothing worth further study.
There is nothing in Air Force files that come to a conclusion that spaceships have visited the Earth.
Today, UFO investigation is in the hands of civilian groups such as this, the Center for UFO Studies, in the suburbs of Chicago. To an experienced investigator, 90% of sightings turn out to be very identifiable.
I suppose my favorite Venus story was the time that I was working with air traffic controllers at a large metropolitan airport here in the United States, who were expecting the arrival of a flight in the eastern sky during dawn hours. And when they caught sight of Venus out the control tower windows, they started radioing to the planet clearance to land.
The lunar module of Apollo 11 was on its way down towards the surface of the moon. Inside, Buzz Aldrin was about to make adjustments to a camera mounted at one of the windows of the lunar module. This is what he filmed: the moon's surface and a couple of UFOs. Nobody was particularly surprised because it was recognized by NASA as a problem they had encountered frequently, namely the reflection of internal light bulbs on the window.
But those pictures were later obtained by a UFO group in Japan, were enhanced, were cropped, and were published with a transcript to show here are the UFOs attacking our spacecraft.
Engineer Bill Spalding.
We have looked at approximately 1,100 purported motion pictures and pictures of UFOs. Of those, we found 46 that represent structured objects. That's about 4% being bona fide, the rest falling into the category, or 96% of misinterpretations and definitely hoaxes.
This was a Homeland Security flight, actually. So they were on, I don't want to say covert, but they were on a mission, probably doing drug interdiction or something like that. And they're flying along and they see this thing. So very experienced pilots. Now this particular aircraft too is a Beechcraft 350C, which they've converted to include a very sensitive and complex radar array. So when they call this thing in, this is about 2:30 in the afternoon. It's September 17th of last year. It's broad daylight. They got a good look at this thing, cylindrical dark object that passes underneath their wings so close.
For those rare few sightings, perhaps 1% of all the reports I've had a chance to deal with, where I feel that the item is unidentified, not just because of conditions of distance or darkness, but because of the true descriptions and features which we confidently feel were described accurately to us.
Some sightings of UFOs are difficult to explain. But by dismissing all UFOs as having known causes, scientists may be missing out on discoveries of importance in the world around us.
The pity is that there could indeed be something extraordinary masquerading behind UFO reports. Now, when I say extraordinary, I mean something perhaps of genuine interest to science, such as these earthquake lights or ball lightning or perhaps some kind of insect manifestations.
UFOs do exist. But before we can begin to explain the few incidents that remain truly unidentified, we need to better understand the nature of the scientific process and the needs of the human mind. It is only then that we will be able to discover whether the key to UFOs lies high above in the heavens or right here on our own mysterious planet, Earth. With the huge expanses of space and time, Many people, including scientists, feel that it is highly possible that other intelligent life does exist in this universe.
I've been doing this job for 25 years. I've seen my fair share of drones, meteors, and everything else. And I knew that this was something that I've never come across. It wasn't a drone, I can guarantee you that. And to this day, I'm just perplexed by it.